A tent gives you fabric between you and the forest. A vehicle gives you metal, locked doors, windows you can see out of. Most people feel safer sleeping in their car than sleeping in a tent in the dark. These three accounts will change that. Because the thing about a vehicle is that whatever is outside, it can see you clearly through every window, and you cannot always see them back. I want to start by saying that sleeping in my car in remote areas is something I have done many times without incident. I drive a mid-size SUV. I fold the back seats flat and put a sleeping mat down, and it is comfortable enough for overnight stops when I am between campsites or too tired to set up a tent. I have done this across 6 different states. I am 32 years old and I am not someone who scares easily. I say all of this because what happened in the Ouachita in October 2022 was enough to make me change a habit I had been comfortable with for 4 years. I had been driving since early morning, and by late evening I was deep in the Ouachita on a forest road looking for a campsite. I was more tired than I expected, and the site I had planned for was another hour down a rough road that I did not want to drive in the dark. I pulled off onto a wide gravel shoulder, checked the area with my flashlight, locked the doors, and climbed into the back. I was asleep by 10. I woke up at some point after midnight and I immediately knew something was wrong. Not a sound, not movement. The specific awareness that something had changed while I was asleep and my body had registered it before my brain caught up. I lay completely still, and I listened. The forest outside was quiet. Not the wrong kind of quiet. Just the late-night quiet of a forest doing nothing in particular. My windows were fogged slightly from my breathing. Then I saw the handprint on the rear passenger window, on the outside of the glass. A single handprint. Palm and 4 fingers, the thumb slightly separated. The kind of print left when someone presses their hand flat against a surface and holds it there long enough for the warmth to leave a mark. I did not move. The print was at approximately the height of someone standing beside the vehicle. Adult-sized, clear enough that I could see the lines of the palm. I lay in the back of that SUV, and I did not move, and I did not turn on a light, and I did not start the engine for what I estimate was 20 minutes. I just watched the windows and listened. Nothing moved. Nobody was visible in any direction. After 20 minutes, I made a decision. I climbed carefully into the front seat, started the engine, and drove out of the Ouachita in the dark. I drove for 40 minutes until I reached a town with a lit petrol station, and I parked under the lights and sat there until morning. In the daylight, I got out and looked at the rear passenger window. The handprint was still there on the outside of the glass. One hand, pressed flat. The specific, deliberate contact of someone who stood beside my vehicle while I was sleeping and put their hand on my window. I do not know if they were looking in. I do not know how long they stood there. I do not know if the print was there when I parked or if it appeared while I was asleep. What I know is that someone stood beside my vehicle in the dark in the Ouachita National Forest and pressed their hand against the window while I was sleeping inside it. I have not slept in my car in a remote area since. A handprint on the outside of the rear window. Adult-sized. Palm pressed flat. She was asleep on the other side of that glass. Tell me where in the world you're watching from right now. Drop it in the comments. I read and reply to every single one. We are pushing toward 10,000 subscribers before the end of this month. If these accounts mean something to you, hit subscribe. Every single one counts. Does the handprint being on the rear passenger window, not the driver window, tell you whatever stood there was looking at where she was sleeping specifically? Or does someone who stood there long enough to leave a thermal print tell you they were there for a while before she woke up? Drop your answer below. I sleep in the bed of my truck when I am out in the field. I have a topper on it, a hard shell canopy that locks from the inside. I have been doing this for 3 years. It is more comfortable than a tent, and the locked topper gives me a sense of security that I have never had reason to question. Until the Gifford Pinchot in July last year. I was 3 days into a solo fishing trip. The spot I had found was good, and I had no plans to move for the remaining 2 days. I parked the truck off a forest road, set up for the night, locked the topper from the inside, and went to sleep. I'm not sure what time it was when I woke up. I did not check immediately. What woke me was a sound. Someone was trying the rear handle of the topper. Not aggressive, not urgent. The specific, careful sound of someone slowly testing whether a handle will open. One attempt. A pause. Then a second attempt with slightly more pressure. I lay completely still. A third attempt. More pressure this time. Then nothing. I did not breathe loudly. I did not move. I lay in the bed of my truck and I listened to complete silence for what felt like a very long time. Then I heard footsteps. Slow. Moving around the side of the truck to the driver door. The specific sound of someone walking carefully on gravel. Not running, not in a hurry. The driver door handle moved. Not violently. The careful test of someone who wants to know if it is unlocked without making noise about it. One slow pull. The door did not open because it was locked. Then footsteps again. Moving away from the truck. Getting quieter. Then nothing. I lay in that truck bed for the rest of the night without sleeping. When it was light enough to see, I unlocked the topper from inside and looked out. Nobody was visible. The forest road was empty in both directions. I checked the gravel around the truck. There were footprints. 2 sets, one at the rear of the truck near the topper handle, one at the driver door. Both sets came from the same direction and returned to the same direction, into the trees to the north of the road. I packed up and left that morning. I did not fish the remaining 2 days. I've thought about the order of it many times. The topper first, then the driver door. Someone who tries a locked rear entry and then moves to the cab is someone who is checking systematically. That is not random behavior. That is someone who wanted to get into that truck and tried 2 ways to do it. What do you think was trying the handles on that truck in the Gifford Pinchot at 2 in the morning? And does someone who tries the rear first, then moves to the cab, tell you they knew someone was sleeping in the back? Drop it below. The third account tonight is from a couple, a man and a woman, who were sleeping in their van in the Cherokee National Forest when they woke to the sound of someone walking on their roof. Not an animal, not a branch falling. Footsteps on the roof of their van. That is the third account tonight. My partner and I had been van living for about 8 months when this happened. We had converted a long wheelbase van ourselves. Insulation, a fixed bed, kitchen unit, the works. It was our home. We knew every sound it made, every creak and rattle, the way rain sounds on the roof versus the way wind sounds on the roof versus the way a branch landing on the roof sounds. We know what footsteps on the roof sound like, too. Now. August 2022. Cherokee National Forest in Tennessee. We had been parked in a quiet forest clearing for 2 nights without any issue. Good spot. We had used it before. On the 3rd night, we went to sleep around 10:30. I woke up at around 2 in the morning. The sound was immediate and unmistakable. Weight, on the roof, moving. I touched my partner's arm and she was already awake. She had heard it at the same moment I had. We lay completely still and we listened. The weight moved from the rear of the roof toward the front. Slowly. The specific, deliberate placement of something that was distributing its weight carefully, not scrambling, not sliding, but moving with intention across the full length of the roof. It stopped above the cab. We looked at each other in the dark. Neither of us spoke. Neither of us moved. The weight shifted above the cab, not moving forward or backward, just shifting, like something repositioning itself. Then it moved again, slowly back toward the rear of the roof, the same deliberate, careful movement, back to where it had started. Then nothing. We lay in that van for a very long time. Neither of us spoke for probably 10 minutes after the sound stopped. When my partner finally said something, she said it very quietly. She said, "That was not an animal." I agreed with her then, and I agree with her now. We know what animals on the roof sound like. Squirrels move fast and scratch. Raccoons are heavier and less controlled. Whatever was on the roof of our van in the Cherokee moved the way something moves when it does not want to make noise. Deliberate. Careful. From one end to the other and back. In the morning, we checked the roof. There were marks on the paint at the rear where something had come up, scuff marks consistent with something gripping the edge. And across the length of the roof there were faint impressions in the coating where weight had been distributed. Whatever was on our van that night came up from the rear, moved to the front, shifted its weight above the cab, above where the windscreen is, above where you would look in to see the people sleeping, and then went back the way it came. My partner said the thing that I have not been able to stop thinking about. She said, "It went to the front to look in, and when it had seen what it needed to see, it left. From the rear to the front. Slow and deliberate, shifting weight above the cab, above the windscreen, then back the way it came. Subscribe to Obscure Nights right now. Does something that moves from rear to front and stops above the windscreen tell you it was looking for a way to see inside? Or does going back the way it came tell you it found what it was looking for and made a decision? Drop your answer below. 3 accounts, 3 vehicles, 3 different things that came to those vehicles in the dark. If you sleep in your car, truck, or van in remote areas, there are 4 things that will make you significantly safer. First, park with your vehicle pointing toward your exit, not parallel to the road, nose out. If you need to leave quickly, you do not want to be reversing in the dark. Second, cover your windows before you sleep. Reflective window covers serve 2 purposes. They keep light out and they prevent anyone outside from seeing in. The handprint account makes it clear why this matters. If they cannot see you are in there, the dynamic changes entirely. Third, if you hear someone testing your handles, do not turn on a light and do not start the engine immediately. A light confirms you are inside and awake. Starting the engine announces your intention. Lie still and listen for 30 seconds before you do anything. Most of the time, the person or thing trying the handle will move on if there is no response. Fourth, a battery-powered motion sensor alarm placed on the ground around the vehicle gives you warning before anything reaches the door. They cost almost nothing, and they work. All 3 narrators tonight survived their encounters. None of them were harmed, but all 3 of them changed something about how they sleep outdoors because of what came to their vehicle in the dark. If you have an encounter of your own, and you want it told on this channel, our submission email is in the channel bio. We read every single one. To the woman who drove 40 minutes in the dark to reach a petrol station with lights and sat there until morning. To the man who lay in the bed of his truck and listened to someone try 2 doors and walk away. And to the couple who lay in their home and listened to something move from one end of their roof to the other and back. Thank you for trusting Obscure Nights with these accounts. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Links in the channel bio. This is Obscure Nights, where the cases nobody talks about get told the way they actually happened. Good night.